The council chamber floated in space like a giant crystal. Inside, thousands of aliens sat in curved rows that reached up to the high ceiling. Their bodies were different shapes and colors. Some had fur, some had scales, and some glowed with strange light. They all came to vote on one question. Should Earth join the Galactic Council? Captain Taijin stood at the bottom of the chamber. His military uniform felt too tight. He watched the alien faces above him. Most looked afraid. Some looked angry. Very few looked friendly. Next to him, Ambassador Bora held her hands together. She was trying not to shake. For 20 years, humans had worked hard to prove they belonged among the stars. They had shared their art and music. They had offered friendship and trade. They had followed every rule the council gave them. But today all that work would end with a simple vote. Overseer Velk rose from his seat. He was old, very old. His insect body clicked and rattled as he moved. Four eyes looked down at the human delegation. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire chamber through hidden speakers. "We have studied the humans for 2 decades, Velk said. "We have watched their history. We have seen their wars. We have counted their weapons. And we have learned the truth about what they are." Taijin felt his jaw tighten. He knew what was coming. "Humans are predators," Velk continued. "They evolved hunting other creatures. They built their civilization on violence and conflict. Even now, in their moment of peace, they carry weapons. They train for war. They think like hunters." Bora stepped forward. "Overseer, please. We have shown you that humans can change. We have been peaceful for 3 generations. We have not started any wars since we left our planet. We only want to learn from you and grow alongside you." Velk's eyes did not blink. "A predator who hides its teeth is still a predator. The council cannot risk allowing your species into our community. You are too dangerous, too unpredictable, too much like the monsters we have fought to remove from this galaxy." The chamber erupted with voices. Aliens spoke in hundreds of languages. The translation devices could barely keep up. But the meaning was clear. Most agreed with Velk. Dr. Hana stood behind the captain and ambassador. She was Earth's expert on alien cultures. She had spent years studying how different species thought and acted. She had warned them this might happen. The council was made up mostly of prey species. They had evolved running from danger, not facing it. To them, humans looked like nightmare creatures from their ancient past. "Let us vote," Velk announced. "All those in favor of granting Earth membership in the Galactic Council, activate your approval signal now." Small lights appeared throughout the chamber. Green for yes, red for no. Taijin counted the green lights. There were so few, maybe 200 out of thousands. Most of the chamber glowed red like a warning fire. Bora closed her eyes. Her dream of peaceful cooperation was dying in front of her. "The vote is decided," Velk said. "Earth is denied membership in the Galactic Council. Furthermore, the following actions will take effect immediately." He listed them one by one. No technology trade with any council species. No colonization rights beyond the solar system. No travel permissions for human ships into council space. And most crushing of all, a military blockade around all human territories. Earth would be trapped like an animal in a cage. Bora found her voice again. "This is not justice. This is fear. We came here in peace and you treat us like criminals." "You are not criminals," Velk replied. "You are simply too dangerous to roam free. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, when your violent nature has fully evolved away, we will reconsider. Until then, humanity must remain contained." Taijin put his hand on Bora's shoulder. She was trembling now, not from fear, but from anger. He knew the feeling. He had fought in the last war on Earth, back when humans still fought each other. He had seen what desperation could drive people to do, and now the council was about to learn the same lesson. The human delegation was escorted from the chamber by council security forces. The guards were polite but firm. They treated the humans like bombs that might explode at any moment. When they reached the docking bay, their ship was surrounded by alien soldiers with weapons drawn. "They fear us," Dr. Hana said quietly as they boarded their vessel. "They fear us more than they fear anything else in the galaxy." "Good," Taijin replied. His voice was cold and hard. "Let them fear. We tried peace. We tried friendship. We tried everything they asked. And they still locked us away." Bora looked at him with worried eyes. "What are you saying, Captain?" "I am saying that we are done playing by their rules. We are done asking for permission to exist. If they want to treat us like predators, then maybe it is time we started acting like predators." The ship lifted off and moved toward the exit of council space. Behind them, massive energy barriers began to rise. The blockade was already starting. Earth and all her colonies would be cut off from the rest of the galaxy. As they passed through the last checkpoint, Taijin stood at the window and stared at the glowing walls. They thought this would contain humanity. They thought fear and isolation would keep humans weak and quiet. They were wrong, Ambassador, he said. When we get home, I need you to send a message to every colony, every station, every human ship in space. What message? Bora asked. Tell them that the Council has declared us their enemy. Tell them that we are alone in the galaxy, and tell them that we will not go quietly into our cage. If they want predators, we will show them what real predators can do when you back them into a corner. Dr. Hana looked between them both. This will change everything. Yes, Taijin said, it will. The Council just made the biggest mistake in their history. They had a chance to make humanity their ally. Instead, they made us their problem. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, leaving Council space behind. In the chamber they had left, Overseer Velk watched them go on a screen. He felt satisfied. The dangerous humans were contained. The galaxy was safe. He did not know that he had just planted the seeds of his own downfall. He did not know that rejecting Earth would be the greatest error the Council ever made. He did not know that sometimes when you treat someone like a monster, you create exactly what you feared. The vote was over. Earth was rejected, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. 5 years had passed since the rejection. The blockade around human space had become permanent. Giant alien ships floated at every exit point from the solar system. Their weapons were always pointed inward, always watching, always ready. The message was clear. Humans were prisoners in their own corner of the galaxy. But prisons only work if the prisoners give up hope. And humans never learned how to do that. On a hidden station beyond Neptune, Admiral Subin watched her ships move through training exercises. These were not the exploration vessels Earth had built during the peaceful years. These were warships, fast armed and designed for one purpose, survival. How many are ready? Asked General Taijin. He had been promoted after returning from the Council. Now he commanded all human military forces. 200 combat vessels, Subin replied. Not enough to fight the Council directly, but enough to make them think twice about pushing further into our space. In a workshop nearby, Engineer Jun-Ho worked on a new type of shield generator. He was young, barely 30, but his mind worked faster than most computers. 5 years ago, Commander Yan's Special Forces team had captured a Council patrol ship. The aliens inside had died in the attack, but their technology survived. Jun-Ho had spent years taking it apart and learning its secrets. This is against every Council law, his assistant said nervously. Jun-Ho laughed. They put us in a cage and you worry about their laws? No, we take their technology. We learn from it. We make it better. That is how humans survive. He connected the last wire and powered up the device. A shimmering barrier appeared in the air. It was stronger than anything the Council had. Stronger because Jun-Ho had combined their technology with human engineering. The aliens thought in straight lines. Humans thought in spirals. Far from the hidden station, Commander Yeon's team moved through dark space on another mission. Their small ship had no lights and made no sound. They were hunting for something the Council did not want anyone to find. Rumors had reached Earth about other species being punished by the Council. Other worlds being quarantined. Other people being locked away for being different. Contact ahead, said the sensor operator. Multiple ships. They looked damaged. Yeon moved to the window. Through the darkness, she could see a group of alien vessels. They were old and poorly maintained. Refugees, she realized. Running from something. Open a channel, she ordered. The face that appeared on screen was not human, but the fear in its eyes was universal. Please, the alien said in broken English. We need help. Council ships hunting us. They say we are dangerous. They say we must be contained. Yeon felt cold anger in her chest. The same words. The same fear. The Council was doing to others what they had done to Earth. How many ships are chasing you? She asked. 3 Council patrol vessels. They will find us soon. Yeon made her decision in seconds. Follow us. We will take you somewhere safe. But why would humans help us? The alien asked. Everyone knows the Council rejected you. You have your own problems. That is exactly why we will help, Yeon replied. We know what it feels like to be called dangerous just for existing. Now move. Those patrol ships will not give you a trial. They will just eliminate you. The refugee ships followed the human vessel into the darkness. Behind them, Council sensors detected the movement but lost the signal in the void between stars. The patrol ship searched for hours before giving up. Another target had escaped. They filed their report and moved on. They did not realize they had just lost something far more valuable than refugees. They had lost the truth about what the Council was becoming. Back at the hidden station, General Tae-jin met with the refugees. There were 4 different species among them. All had been declared threats by the Council. All had been marked for quarantine or worse, and all had one thing in common. They were different. They thought differently. They acted differently. They did not fit the Council's idea of what civilized species should be. "How many others are there like you?" Tae-jin asked. An elderly alien with blue skin spoke. "Many. Dozens of species have been pushed out over the centuries. Most died, some survived in hiding. The Council calls it peacekeeping. We call it cleaning out anything that makes them uncomfortable." Ambassador Bora had been listening from the back of the room. She was different now than she had been 5 years ago. The idealistic diplomat who believed in peaceful cooperation was gone. In her place was someone harder and wiser. "Then we offer you a choice," she said, stepping forward. "You can stay here and hide with us, or you can join us in building something new, something the Council cannot control." "What are you building?" the blue alien asked. Tae-jin smiled. It was not a friendly smile. An alliance. Not of the perfect and peaceful, but of the rejected and dangerous, of everyone the Council threw away because we did not fit their rules. "You want to fight them?" another refugee asked nervously. "No," Bora said. "We want to survive. We want to prove that being different is not being wrong. And if the Council tries to eliminate us for that, then yes, we will fight." The refugees looked at each other. They had been running for so long. The idea of standing still and fighting back seemed impossible. But there was something in the human voices. Something that made them believe it might work. One by one, they agreed to join. Over the next months, more refugees arrived. Word spread through secret channels that humans were offering shelter. That humans were building something. The hidden station grew larger. The fleet grew stronger. Engineer Junho shared his technology with alien engineers, and they shared theirs with him. Different minds working together created things no one species could build alone. Council patrol ships began to disappear near human space. They would go on missions and never return. The Council increased their blockade, but it did not help. Something was happening in the darkness beyond their sensors, something they could not see or understand. Admiral Subin stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched her fleet conduct exercises. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels. Different designs, different technologies, but one purpose: survival. "How long before the Council realizes what we are doing?" she asked Tae-jin. "They already suspect," he replied, "but they cannot prove anything, and they are too afraid to push into our space to investigate. They created this cage to contain us. They do not realize they gave us the perfect place to build an army." "Is that what this is?" Subin asked quietly. "An army?" Tae-jin looked out at the ships. "No, it is something better. It is hope. For everyone the Council abandoned. We are showing them that rejection is not the end, that being different is not being wrong, and that predators can protect just as well as they can hunt." Far away in the Council chamber, Overseer Velk received reports about the missing patrol ships. He was worried but not alarmed. The blockade was working. Earth was contained. Everything was under control. He had no idea that in the darkness beyond his sensors, humanity had stopped being victims. They had become something far more dangerous. They had become a rallying point for every species the Council had thrown away. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn what happens when you give outcasts a reason to unite. 8 years after the rejection, the galaxy learned the meaning of true terror. They came from deep space without warning. Thousands of ships that moved like a swarm of insects. The Breach, ancient records called them. A species so violent and aggressive that the old civilizations had fought a century-long war to destroy them. Everyone thought they were extinct. Everyone was wrong. The first attack hit a peaceful trading world called Vernice. The planet had 5 billion inhabitants. In 3 days it had none. The Breach did not take prisoners. They did not negotiate. They simply destroyed everything in their path and moved to the next target. The Council sent their defense fleet, 10,000 ships carrying the best technology and training in the galaxy. They were gone in a week. The Breach tore through them like paper. Council military doctrine was based on rules and honor. The Breach followed no rules. They only knew how to kill. In the council chamber, panic replaced order. Overseer Velk stood before the assembly looking older than ever. World after world was falling. Billions were dying. And the council military had no answer. "We need new strategies," a young counselor named Thren said. She was one of the few who had voted for Earth 8 years ago. "Our current tactics are not working. What do you suggest?" Velk asked tiredly. Thren hesitated. Everyone knew what she was thinking. Everyone knew the answer they did not want to hear. "We need the humans." The chamber erupted with voices. Some agreed. Most did not. But as the argument continued, another report came in. 3 more worlds had fallen. The death count was now in the hundreds of billions. That night, Overseer Velk did something he never thought he would do. He sent a secret message to Earth, to Ambassador Bora, the woman he had rejected and humiliated 8 years ago. He begged for help. On the hidden station, Bora read the message 3 times before believing it. Then she called General Tajin and Admiral Subin to her office. "They want our help," she said, showing them the message. Tajin laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They locked us in a cage, called us monsters, quarantined us like a disease, and now they come begging. What do we do?" Subin asked. Bora looked at them both. "We do what humans always do. We help, not for the council, not for Velk, but for all the innocent people dying out there who never voted to reject us." "At what price?" Tajin asked. Bora smiled. "The quarantine ends, immediately, and they accept that humans will fight this war our way, not theirs." The message went back to Velk within an hour. The terms were non-negotiable. The blockade would be removed or humanity would stay behind it while the galaxy burned. Velk had no choice. He agreed to everything. 3 days later, the human fleet arrived at a world called Torvin. The breach had been attacking it for a week. Council forces were evacuating civilians but losing ground with every hour. When the defenders saw human ships appear on their sensors, they did not know whether to feel hope or fear. Captain Jiwoo led the fighter squadrons. She was young and fast and had never lost a combat simulation. But this was not a simulation. This was real. And she was about to show the galaxy what human pilots could do. "All squadrons, listen close," she said over the communication channel. "The council fights like prey animals. They retreat and defend and hope the enemy gets tired. We are not prey. We are hunters, and hunters attack." Her fighters dove into the breach formation like birds of prey. They did not wait for the enemy to come to them. They went after the enemy ships, targeting their weak points using speed and surprise instead of heavy armor. The breach had never faced opponents who fought this way. They were confused. And confusion led to mistakes. On the ground, Major Kyungsu's Marines landed in the middle of the battle. Council soldiers had been slowly retreating from a city while evacuating civilians. Kyungsu looked at their defensive positions and shook his head. "You are giving them the city," he told the council commander. "We have no choice," the alien replied. "They are too strong. Too many." "No, you have no courage," Kyungsu said. "Watch and learn." He led his Marines forward, not backward, into the enemy territory instead of away from it. The breach forces were advancing confidently when suddenly humans appeared behind them. The ambush was perfect. The breach had been hunting the council soldiers. Now they were being hunted themselves. The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the breach forces retreated for the first time since the war began. The city was saved. The civilians were safe, and the council soldiers stood in shock watching the humans reorganize their defensive positions. "How did you do that?" the council commander asked Kyungsu. "We remembered something the council forgot," Kyungsu replied. "Sometimes the best defense is a good attack. Sometimes you have to stop running and start fighting back. Sometimes you need predators to beat predators." News of the victory spread quickly. Human tactics worked where council doctrine failed. More commanders requested human assistance. More worlds asked for human defenders. The species they had called monsters were saving their lives. General Tajin coordinated the war effort from the command station. He worked with council officers now, teaching them how humans thought about warfare. It was not about honor or rules. It was about winning, about protecting people, about doing whatever it took to survive. Admiral Subin's fleet moved from world to world, arriving just in time to turn desperate defeats into hard-won victories. Her ships used Engineer Junho's advanced shields and weapons, technology that combined human innovation with alien designs, the best of both approaches. In the council chamber, Overseer Velk watched reports of human victories. He should have felt grateful. Instead, he felt ashamed. For 8 years, he had told everyone that humans were too dangerous to join the council, that their violent nature made them a threat. Now those same violent instincts were the only thing keeping the galaxy alive. Counselor Thren approached him after a meeting. "You were wrong about them." Velk did not argue. "Yes, I was wrong. I saw predators and thought that meant evil. I forgot that predators also protect their territory, that hunters also guard their families, that violence in defense of others is not the same as violence for its own sake. What will you do?" Thren asked. "When this war ends," Velk said quietly, "I will stand before the council and admit my mistake. I will recommend that Earth not only join the council but take a leadership position. They have earned it with blood and courage." On the battlefield of Torvin, Captain Jiwoo landed her fighter after another successful mission. Council pilots surrounded her, asking questions about tactics and maneuvers. She taught them patiently. These were not enemies. They were allies now, students learning from teachers who had learned the hard way. The galaxy had rejected humanity for being predators. Now the galaxy was learning that sometimes when monsters come from the darkness, you need predators to fight them off. The vote that was supposed to protect the council had left them defenseless, and the species they locked away had become their only hope for survival. 10 years after the rejection, the war against the breach had reached a turning point. What had seemed like the end of civilization had become a fight that could be won, and humanity was leading the way. Colonel Minji stood in the command center of a joint human-alien fleet. Around her, officers from 20 different species worked at control stations. They wore mixed uniforms. They spoke different languages, but they all followed human military doctrine now, because human methods worked. "Enemy fleet detected in Sector 7, an alien officer reported. 12 breach warships heading toward the colony at Rendon." Minji studied the tactical display. 2 years ago, 12 breach ships would have meant certain defeat. Now it was just another battle. Send the 4th and 7th squadrons. Use pattern Delta 3. Hit them from above and below simultaneously. The alien officer hesitated. "That pattern is very aggressive. What if they counterattack?" "Then we counterattack harder," Minji said calmly. "They expect us to be defensive. When we attack first and attack hard, they get confused. Confusion makes mistakes. Mistakes lose battles," the squadrons launched. Minji watched the battle unfold on her screens. The human and alien ships moved together like dancers who had practiced the same routine 1,000 times. When the breach tried to regroup, the Allied fleet was already in position for the next strike. When the enemy retreated, the pursuit was immediate and ruthless. The battle lasted 40 minutes. All 12 breach ships were destroyed. The Allied fleet lost 3 vessels. A year ago, this same fight would have cost 50 ships and the colony would have been evacuated. Now it was barely worth a full report. On a medical station orbiting the planet Helios, Dr. Sung Ho trained council medics in advanced trauma care. Human medical techniques were designed for worst-case scenarios. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting wars and learning how to save the wounded. That dark history had become valuable knowledge. "You need to work faster," he told a student who was carefully applying bandages. "In combat medicine, every second matters. Perfect technique means nothing if the patient dies while you are being careful." The student, a gentle creature with 6 arms, looked worried. "But I might hurt them if I rush." "A little pain is better than death," Sung Ho replied. "Your instinct is to be gentle. That is good for normal medicine. But war is not normal. In war you save lives by accepting that some damage is necessary to prevent worse damage." It was a hard lesson. The council species were peaceful by nature. They did not like causing pain even to save lives. Humans understood that sometimes you had to hurt someone to help them. Cut to remove infection. Break bones to set them properly. Cause pain now to prevent death later. In an intelligence facility deep in council space, Lieutenant Hei-Wan worked on the most important discovery of the war. For months, she had been studying captured breach communication systems. The patterns were strange and difficult. But slowly, piece by piece, she had figured it out. "They are not individuals," she explained to General Tae-jin over a video call. "Every breach ship connects to a central command system. A hive mind. They follow orders from one source." Tae-jin understood immediately. "If we destroy that central mind, the entire fleet becomes useless." "Exactly," Hei-Wan confirmed. "I have traced the signal back to its origin point. The breach homeworld. That is where their command center is located. The news spread quickly through command channels. After 2 years of defensive battles, they finally had a target. A way to end the war. But attacking the breach homeworld would be the most dangerous operation ever attempted. Admiral Subin began planning the assault. She gathered fleet commanders from across the galaxy. Human officers worked alongside council admirals. Together, they designed a strategy that combined human aggression with alien technology. It was ambitious. It was risky. It was humanity's way. "We will need every available ship," Subin told the assembled commanders. "This is not a small raid. This is a full invasion of enemy territory. Many of us will not come back." A council admiral raised his hand. "Is this not too dangerous? Should we not continue our current strategy of defense?" "Defense only delays defeat," Tae-Jin said from his seat. "We learned that in our own history. You can build the strongest walls in the galaxy, but walls only protect you until the enemy finds a way through. To win a war, you must take the fight to the enemy. You must make them defend instead of attack." The council admirals looked uncomfortable. This went against everything they had been taught, but they could not argue with results. Human tactics had turned the tide of the war. If humans said this was the path to victory, then it probably was. While military forces prepared for the final assault, Ambassador Bo-Ra met with council leadership to discuss what would happen after the war. The emergency had brought humans and the council together. But would that cooperation survive peace? "We want formal membership," Bo-Ra stated clearly. "Not as guests, not as helpers, but as equal partners with full voting rights." Councillor Thren, who had supported Earth from the beginning, nodded. "You have earned it 1,000 times over. But there is concern among some members. They worry that humans will dominate council decisions." Bo-Ra smiled. "We do not want to dominate. We want to participate. We want our voice to be heard, just like every other species. If you are worried about human influence, then make the council more democratic. Give every species equal representation, not just the powerful ones." It was a radical idea. The council had always been controlled by the oldest and largest civilizations. Smaller species had little say in decisions, but the war had shown that size did not equal wisdom. That age did not mean correctness. The entire structure needed to change. "I will propose these reforms," Thren said. "Many will oppose them, but many will support them too." The war has opened eyes across the galaxy. People see now that the old ways were not working. In his office, Overseer Velk prepared his resignation. He was old and tired and ashamed. His fear of humanity had nearly destroyed the galaxy. The humans he called monsters had saved countless lives. There was no excuse for what he had done. No justification for the rejection. He wrote a public statement admitting his mistakes. He recommended that General Tae-Jin be offered the position of Supreme Military Commander for all council forces. That Admiral Subin be given authority over fleet deployments. That humans take leadership roles in every military branch. It hurt his pride to write these words. But pride meant nothing compared to truth. And the truth was simple. Humans understood war better than any species in the council. They had earned their authority through blood and sacrifice. Dr. Hana, who had witnessed the original rejection 10 years ago, visited a human military academy that had been established on a council world. Young aliens trained alongside human instructors. They learned tactics and strategy. They learned when to fight and when to retreat. They learned that being a warrior was not about being violent. It was about being ready to protect those who could not protect themselves. She watched a class where humans taught alien cadets about fear. "Fear is natural," the instructor said. "Every soldier feels fear. The difference between a good soldier and a bad one is not whether they feel fear. It is what they do despite that fear." The cadets listened carefully. They were learning from the best. From the species the council had called too dangerous to join them. From the predators who had become protectors. The final assault on the breach homeworld was scheduled to begin in 1 month. Every ship in the galaxy that could fight was being gathered. Every soldier was being prepared. Every weapon was being checked and loaded. Humanity had been rejected for being dangerous. Now the galaxy depended on that danger to survive. The vote that was meant to protect everyone had left them defenseless. And the species locked outside had become their only hope. The greatest error was about to become the greatest redemption. 12 years after the rejection, the largest fleet in galactic history gathered at the edge of breach territory. 5,000 warships from 100 different species, all waiting for the order to attack. all ready to end the war that had killed trillions. Admiral Subin stood on the bridge of the flagship. General Tae-jin was beside her. Around them, the command crew consisted of humans and aliens working as one unit. This was what the Council could have had 12 years ago. This was what they had rejected. "All ships report ready," an officer announced. Subin took a deep breath. This was it. The final battle. Everything they had fought for came down to this moment. "Send the attack order," she commanded. The fleet moved forward as one. They crossed into breach space and immediately encountered resistance. Hundreds of enemy ships appeared to block their path. But the Allied fleet did not slow down. They did not hesitate. They charged straight into the enemy formation using tactics that would have seemed insane to the Council 12 years ago. But these were human tactics now, and they worked. Captain Ji-woo led her fighter squadrons through the chaos. She had survived 3 years of war and become a legend among pilots of every species. Young aliens asked to join her squadron. They wanted to learn from the best, and she taught them well. "Stay together," she called over the communication channel. "Cover each other. Watch your wing positions. And remember what I taught you. Fear is fine. Running away is not." The fighters dove and weaved through enemy fire. Some were hit. Some exploded in silent flashes. But most survived. And they destroyed 10 breach ships for everyone they lost. On the surface of the breach homeworld, Major Kyung-soo's Marines landed in the middle of a storm of weapons fire. Their mission was simple but nearly impossible. Find the Hive Mind Command Center. Destroy it. "Stop the war, move fast," he ordered his troops. "Every second we waste, more ships are dying up there." They fought through streets filled with breach warriors. The enemy was fierce and fearless, but so were the Marines. Human soldiers fought alongside aliens they had trained. Together they pushed deeper into the city, following the signal that Lieutenant Haiwan had traced months ago. The command center was buried deep underground. Massive doors blocked their path. Colonel Minji, who had joined the ground assault, ordered explosives placed. The doors shattered. Inside was a chamber filled with strange technology, and one central brain-like structure that pulsed with energy. "That is it," Minji said. "The hive mind." Kyung-soo set the charges himself. Heavy ones, enough to vaporize the entire chamber. The team evacuated quickly. When the explosives detonated, the blast could be felt across the city. In space, every breach ship suddenly stopped moving. They floated lifelessly like puppets whose strings had been cut. The hive mind was dead, and without it, the breach were nothing but empty vessels. "Cease fire," Subin ordered. "The war is over." The silence that followed was strange and beautiful. For 3 years, the galaxy had been at war. Now suddenly there was peace. Ships that had been fighting moments ago now just floated in space. Soldiers who had been shooting now lowered their weapons. The nightmare was finished. Tae-jin looked at Subin and smiled. "We did it." "No," she replied. "Everyone did it. All of us together. That is how it should have been from the beginning." 3 months later, the council chamber was filled to capacity. Every species in the galaxy had sent representatives. They had come to vote on the future of the council itself, to decide what kind of civilization they wanted to build from the ashes of war. President Dae-jung stood at the center of the chamber. He was Earth's new leader, elected after the war ended. He had fought alongside aliens during the conflict. He had lost friends from a dozen different worlds. He understood what unity really meant. 12 years ago, I watched from Earth as this council rejected humanity, he said. His voice carried through the chamber clearly. You called us dangerous. You called us predators. You locked us away because you feared what we might become. The chamber was silent. Everyone remembered. Everyone knew the shame of that day. You were not entirely wrong, Dae-jung continued. We are predators. We are dangerous. We carry violence in our history and our instincts. But you forgot something important. Predators do not only hunt, they also protect. They guard their territory. They defend their pack. And when you gave us a chance to prove that, we did. Ambassador Bora stood beside him. She looked different now, older and wiser. The idealistic young diplomat was gone. In her place was a leader who had learned that peace sometimes required strength. We do not want revenge, she said. We do not want control. We want partnership. We want a council where every voice matters, where being different is not being dangerous, where fear does not drive policy. She presented the proposal that had been drafted over months of negotiation. Complete reform of the council structure, equal representation for all species, democratic voting on all major decisions, and humans would hold a permanent seat with the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else. Overseer Velk stood to speak. He looked ancient now. The war had aged him badly. "I made the greatest mistake of my life 12 years ago," he said. "I let fear control my judgment. I punished humanity for being different instead of trying to understand them. And because of my error, billions died before we learned the truth." He looked at Daejung and Bora. "I cannot undo what I did, but I can make sure it never happens again. I vote yes to all reforms, and I recommend that General Tai Jin be appointed Supreme Commander of all Council military forces, that Admiral Subin be given authority over fleet operations, that humans take leadership positions throughout our government. They earned this with blood. We owe them everything." The vote began. Green lights appeared throughout the chamber, more and more until the entire room glowed green. The reforms passed unanimously. Earth was not just accepted, Earth was embraced. Tai Jin, now Fleet Admiral, accepted his new position with quiet dignity. He did not gloat. He did not celebrate. He simply promised to serve every species in the galaxy with the same dedication he had shown to humanity. "The uniform does not matter," he told the council. "The species does not matter. What matters is that we protect those who cannot protect themselves, that we stand together against threats, that we remember the cost of division and fear." Across the galaxy, human military academies opened their doors to students from every world. Young aliens arrived eager to learn, eager to understand how humans thought about warfare and defense. The teachers were patient and thorough. They taught tactics and strategy, but more importantly, they taught values. Colonel Minji walked through one academy watching cadets train. A young alien approached her nervously. "Instructor, may I ask a question?" "Of course," Minji replied. "Why do humans fight so well?" "What makes you different?" Minji thought for a moment. "We are not better fighters because we are stronger or smarter. We fight well because we understand what we are fighting for. Every human soldier knows that somewhere behind them is someone who needs protection. A family, a friend, a stranger who cannot defend themselves. When you fight for others, you find strength you did not know you had." The cadet nodded slowly. "So predators become protectors?" "Exactly," Minji said with a smile. "That is what the council feared, but it is also what saved them." Dr. Hana, now very old, sat in her office writing her final report. She had spent 12 years documenting humanity's journey from rejection to redemption, from outcasts to leaders, from monsters to heroes. "The council made an error," she wrote, "but that error became a teacher. It taught us that fear blinds wisdom, that different does not mean wrong, that the qualities we fear in others might be exactly what we need when darkness comes." She looked out her window at the station where she worked. Human and alien scientists walked together in the corridors. They shared knowledge and ideas. They built things no one species could create alone. Humanity was rejected for being predators, she continued writing. But the galaxy learned that predators make the best guardians. Because a guardian must understand danger, must know how to fight, must be willing to do whatever is necessary to protect others. She finished her report and saved it in the council archives. Future generations would read it. They would learn about the mistake that nearly destroyed everything, and about the species that turned rejection into redemption. In the council chamber, representatives from across the galaxy worked on new laws and policies. Humans sat among them as equals, not rulers, not subordinates, just partners in building a better future. Bora watched the proceedings with satisfaction. The dream she had carried to the council 12 years ago had finally come true. Not in the way she expected, not through diplomatic speeches and peaceful negotiations, but through blood and sacrifice and proving humanity's worth in the hardest way possible. Sometimes, she thought, the best things come from the worst mistakes. The council had rejected Earth. They had called it necessary for safety, for peace, for protection, but that vote had been their final error, an error that cost trillions of lives, an error that nearly ended civilization. An error that taught the galaxy a lesson they would never forget. Fear makes poor decisions. Different is not dangerous. And sometimes the monsters you create are the heroes you need. The vote was over. The war was won.